Hey, what's up guys? This is Cole with Tier 1 Transmissions. Today, follow along as I build this Stage 1 10R80. These Stage 1 10R80s work really well in bolt-on applications, whether it be 5-liter or EcoBoost trucks or cars. They work really well in that application and they can last a very long time. Some highlights of our Stage 1 10R80 build is going to be the Ratiotech PRX kit, your stepped CDF drum, which is an update from Ford, same as your anodized outer shell, again, updated from Ford. These are not aftermarket parts, these are OE parts. We also use the Suncoast Cat 1 kit, which gives you stock count but GPZs, which is a much improved friction material over factory, and a lot more. Here I'm just installing the output shaft seal and our shift shaft seal. The output shaft seal gets plenty of Loctite, so it doesn't have any chance of blocking out. Of course, I'm going to polish all my bushing surfaces, polish up my P3 planet, my sun gear shaft, my P1 sun gear, the output shaft, and my input shaft. Then we'll get all those parts cleaned back off and get ready to get started. There's two seals on the output shaft specifically for the E-clutch. These seal the output shaft to a sleeve in the case that is fed E-clutch oil. Meat paw this sucker. Next I'll start stacking my planetaries. Got my P1 planet and ring gear, my P1 sun gear, of course lubing my bushings. My P2 sun gear and P2 planet. Similar to the 10R140s, these get checked for planet wear. It's extremely common. Most commonly we'll see the P1 planet and the P3 planet worn out. And I'm going to start putting seals on my CDF drum. These seals are for the F clutches, a very common failure point in these 10R80s. Every single 10-speed that we do gets an updated CDF drum. The OEM ones are known for the bushing walking. So we get these updated CDF drums from Ford, which have a step in the drum, which inhibits the sleeve from walking. Get some seals on my D clutch piston and install that into the drum. Next, I'll get some seals on my C clutch piston and get that installed in the drum as well. And I'll knock 3 birds out with 1 stone and compress all the return springs and install all the clips. This is my F-clutch apply ring that I'm installing. Just gonna use an old junk steel to press that guy on. Next, I'll stack out my F-clutches. This being a stage 1, it gets a 4 count, which is the same count as factory. But you're getting the improved material of the Robustus GPZs over the factory boards. On this one, I really didn't like the clearance that I was getting with the snap ring out of the core. So just swapping some steels and a snap ring around to try and get the clearance I want. There we go, there's more. You just listen to how much more there is now. Okay, that's good now. Now I'm installing my D clutches. Again, sometimes these things can be a little finicky, so just adjusting clutch clearances with my spare steels. It's a little tight. It's still too tight. Maybe 6 feet ain't so far down. There she is. Let's try this again. Yeah, I feel bad. Honestly, I appreciate the DIYers, the guys who wanna like do it themselves, save money. I don't think that saving money on as complex a piece as a transmission is the way to go. Especially when it, let's say, it doesn't work. Now what? Now you spent all that money and all that time for naught. You can see now this is stupid tight. There's nothing in there. Like that clutch is basically already applied. But that's what I want because I needed to cut this plate anyways. My C clutch clearance was a little tight, so I had to take the backing plate over to the lathe and cut it down a little bit. Oh, it's a lot better. Okay, cool. I'll get my CDF drum on my sun gear shaft. It's a little different way of installing it than I've done before. I just wanted to kind of try it out. The reason why we drilled the P3 Planet on our 10 R80s is to get more lubricating oil to the F clutches, which is a common failure point. Lube has to travel through the input, through the sun gear shaft, through the CDF hub, through the P3 Planet, through the D clutches, and then it gets to the F clutches. So there's quite a long and arduous path of travel for lube to get to the F clutches, which causes them to overheat and burn. So drilling the P3 Planet allows us to get just a little bit more oil. The Ratio Tech kit also helps us with getting more oil to the F clutches. So this is the way that you can do it to verify that you have absolutely splined that last C friction, and it's based off of what this sun gear looks like on the sun gear shaft. If the sun gear is sitting very slightly above the sun gear shaft, it is not fully splined. If it's perfectly level, then it is fully splined. Now I'm going to assemble my E-clutch housing. Of course, checking my E-clutch piston. Sometimes we'll get them bad out of the box. The E-clutch housing can be quite a pain to get the proper clearance on. This one took me 4 or 5 tries. Of course, we didn't want to include all of those in the video. It kind of would have taken forever. And that goes on. Yeah, there's nothing in there. All right, well now you're gonna get to see me tear this thing back apart and put it back together like 5 more times, trying to get the clearance right. So it's these outer 2 that you f with. That's a 19, which is really thick. This should be like a 1, that's a 100. The inner ones you really don't want to mess with because those are your heat dissipation. I'm gonna have to DA that steel so it doesn't look like dog. Try this, because with that I had no clearance. With this I'm assuming I'll have more, I hope. There we go. I'll check all the seals on my input shaft and get new O-rings for the E-clutch hub. Install the E-clutch hub on the input shaft and its snap ring. Then I'll install the P4 sun gear and its shell onto the input shaft. There's a snap ring, a ring gear, and then another snap ring. I'll install the P4 ring gear in my new outer shell. These are the updated anodized ones. The OEM ones are not anodized, and they are known for wear, for the F clutches wearing into the shell and causing reverse engagement issues and just funky shifting. Now that this is assembled, you can drop this into the trans. And we'll get started on our front support. These are my A-clutch piston seals. One of them goes in the support, another goes on the piston. We'll get the piston installed. It's my new B-clutch piston. Drop that in the support. That's too tight. And then before compressing any return springs, we gotta check B-clutch clearance. Looks like my B-clutch clearance was a little tight. So again, had to chuck the backing plate up in the lathe and turn a few thousandths off of it. Once I get the clearance I want, I'll install my low one-way roller clutch and start putting my B frictions and steels back in. I got my B clutch snap ring installed. Get my A clutch piston retaining snap ring installed as well. And then we'll get our pump drive gear. Get my converter seal housing in the front support. There we go. Torque the little hold down bolt. And I'll press in a new torque converter seal. And I'll get my A clutches installed so that I can drop my front support in. I'll air check this thing real quick. The C, D, and F clutches are pretty common to not air check very well, but the A, B, and E clutches do usually check pretty well. The Teflon seals that are on the input shaft and the sun gear shaft that are responsible for sealing against each other and the CDF drum need heat and fluid volume to seal properly, so getting them to seal on the bench is sometimes a pain. All right, my case harness installed and all of the speed sensors bolted down. Of course, in these you have 4 speed sensors. You have an input speed or a turbine speed. You have 2 intermediate speed sensors and then your output speed sensor. This is obviously what your PCM looks at to see, if your trans is doing what it should. Next, I'll get my pump installed. Of course, these bolt on from the bottom. Then I'll get my valve body installed. Of course, this is getting the RatioTech PRX kit in this case, and it's also going to get the Sonex solenoid retaining clip inserts and the solenoid control valve bores resized. You can check out exactly what I do to this valve body and pump in the full form valve body video. Get my start stop pump installed. Get my filter and pan gasket installed. And then we'll pop on our PPE pan. Of course, the PPE pan is made out of cast aluminum as opposed to the composite plastic that the OEM ones are made of. These PPE pans don't increase capacity. Really, you're just getting the benefit of going from composite plastic to aluminum. So if you're off-roading, wheeling, or if the truck is lowered or the car is lowered, you're getting the strength benefit of having aluminum versus plastic. If nothing else, they just look a lot better. Thank you guys for watching this video of me building a 10R80 Stage 1. We appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys.